the commons back.
Yeah, absolutely.
The first step to the commons is gleaning. Yeah, well, my mom got like my palm read or something when I was a kid, and the woman said that I would find my passion later in life and that I would have to do voice acting at one
Wow.
point. So
that's
here
wild.
I am.
So specific.
I know.
Yeah. Well, what's like your dream voice acting job?
I want someone to like make a cartoon character for me. Like they meet me on the street and they're like, your voice is perfect for this like, spunky space girl,
Yeah, once we have like an amazing budget, we're definitely going to have Dove Weather animated, and your character can be like the spunky space girl.
Yeah, I just burped.
That's okay. Burps are allowed.
Good.
But yeah, we have an amazing guest with us today. We have Miranda, who is an urban farm dabbler and supporter, writing group co-leader and facilitator, and most importantly, an expert at second dates.
Thank you.
Welcome to the pod.
Happy to be here. Excited even.
Yeah. So we are here today to talk about The Gleaners and I, which is a 2000 documentary by Agnes Varda. And you're the one who introduced me to this.
Sorry.
I feel like you burping kind of fits with the theme of the movie. Your mouth is like gleaning for something.
Yeah, or it's just free.
Yeah. Yeah. So how did you first come across this movie?
I first came across it because I saw that my favorite urban farm in Chicago, shout out Patchwork Farms, in Humboldt Park and also in Cabrini Green, they have 2 locations, posted about it. They were doing a movie night at the farm and they posted it on Instagram, and I really wanted to go, but I wasn't able to. But I had the phrase, the Gleaners and I in my head. And then when you suggested we watch a movie about, urban farming or gardening or sustainability or whatever, this was the first one that came to mind.
Amazing. And I'm really glad you picked this because this is the first Agnes Varda movie that I've seen.
Me too.
I've been wanting to see a movie by hers for a while. I remember when her last movie came out, I was like, oh, damn, this is getting so much praise. I need to see it. And then I didn't watch it, and then she died. So,
yeah. You kind of remind me of her.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. How so?
I feel like she does a lot of self-romanticizing a little bit, and just kind of like embracing the whimsy of her life. And you do very similar things.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, I think definitely when I was watching the movie, I was like, damn, this is kind of what I want to be. I feel like she's just like so natural. I feel like part of it is that like she's French and she's older. I'm like, damn, if I tried doing this, it would just come off as like, oh, Marcy thinks she's so cool. She can, talk about herself in the middle of this documentary about gleaning.
No, you could do it too.
But
she did it really well.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear that. So yeah, this documentary, a lot of it is about gleaning. As the farming expert in the room, can you tell our listeners what gleaning is?
Yeah, so gleaning is collecting the fruits or vegetables or grains that were left behind after a harvest. And I didn't really know, but apparently it has a very long tradition in France, like dating to the 1500s. And there are in France and also in some states in America, but not Illinois, gleaning laws where people are like allowed to go onto private property and, take the produce and products that were left behind. And something that was interesting about the documentary was that she was like, there's a big difference between gleaning and picking. You pick from a tree, but you glean from the ground, the fruits of the earth. So I guess that's gleaning. What would you add?
Yeah, I think you did a great job. I feel like, well, one interesting thing the movie like shows is that there was a tradition of women gleaning. Men would go to war and women would glean. And I was like, okay, I'm in this movie immediately because like we're getting like the angle of like the woman doing the work that actually matters and not getting the credit for it.
Totally.
I didn't know about women be gleaning. I didn't know that.
Women be gleaning. Women who glean. Yeah, and then she kind of connected it to a tradition that in the 2000s and that exists today of like urban gleaning, which was fun too to see the through lines. And I loved watching the gleaners, and they were like, we know how to crouch. Like, we're just crouching. Yeah. Like, look at us crouch.
That's the one part of gleaning that I feel like I wouldn't be good at is like when I crouch, it hurts my back. So
yeah, no, gleaning is very physically arduous and kind of like there's a demeaning element to it too. You're like on your knees, but then it's so awesome.
Yeah. I mean, because I feel like the movie kind of romanticizes it to some extent where it's, I mean, a lot of the movie is kind of showing people who are in need, like gleaning in order to get the food they need to survive. But there's also this thing of like, sometimes you just want to glean. Sometimes you just want to like gather things.
Yeah. It definitely romanticized gleaning. It worked for me. I was like, I need to get out there. But also I was thinking about the scenes where they're like in the apple orchards. And like personally, when I've ever gone apple picking, sometimes it's gross. Like you're touching like mealy, disgusting apples and like rotten apples. Like there's definitely a nasty element to gleaning that the movie didn't touch on at all.
Yeah.
Which was okay. But we're talking about it here.
Every time they show like someone gleaning from the trash, the food looks so good. I'm like, you showed like the 2% of footage where the food actually looked good.
Can we talk about the end of the movie when we meet that guy who gleans after farmers markets?
Yeah,
and he just picks up food directly off of the floor and puts it in his mouth. It's just scene after like shot after shot of him picking up like cabbage leaf, apple, parsley, a head of parsley, and just munching on it straight from the ground.
Yeah,
it was crazy.
That was definitely one of the most interesting characters in the film. I like how Agnes Varda, she just like gets obsessed with like these people, and then she's like, I'm gonna follow them around for a while and just see like what footage comes out of that. And I feel like it pays off.
Yeah, and she's not doing it in like a like voyeuristic way or like, look how gross and disgusting you are. Like there's this genuine curiosity that I thought was really sweet throughout the whole movie about everyone she met. She wasn't like taking a moral stance other than like people are cool and interesting and quirky and like to do what they like to do.
Yeah, there's even that moment where she sees someone like gazing at the river and she's like, part of me wanted to approach him, but part of me didn't want to.
Yeah.
I love that she left that in there.
Yeah, no, she left so many random things in there where I loved watching her like, yeah, she like got distracted all of the time filming. Like she'd be interviewing someone on the street and then see some people roller skating and then kind of pan the camera away to watch the roller skaters. Yeah. Or like the scene where she's watching people glean TVs and then like tear them apart for their copper, and she sees like a weird like crack in the television that she then focuses on, and then the scene jumps to her in her room looking at the TV being like, and this is how the film started. I love that kind of like ADHD ass filming.
Yeah.
It was really sweet.
Yeah, I feel like I can definitely see maybe not like a direct influence, but kind of like how stuff like this led to stuff like Nathan Fielder stuff and some of the more like experimental filmmaking we see today. But I think there's something comforting, not to get too gender essentialist, but there's something comforting about watching a woman do it, where you just feel like, you know, you're wearing like a warm sweater while you're watching this.
100%. And I was reading her Wikipedia page after, because I didn't really know a lot about her, but now I want to know everything about her. She seemed like an incredible woman. she was like one of 4 people to go to Jim Morrison's funeral, I think.
Ooh.
Fact check me.
She was a pioneer.
She was a pioneer. She was really a pioneer. And like, oh yeah, I remember what I was going to say. She was like very unapologetically feminine in her filmmaking and in her subjects and in the like way she filmed. And so it felt really, really beautiful to watch.
Yeah.
And comforting and not voyeuristic.
Yeah, definitely. Before we get too far into the Agnes Varda corner, I want to hear about our own farming experiences, because we actually both have been on the farm doing work before.
Yeah.
Which, you know, I'm sure people wouldn't think that Marcy would do that, but the fact is she did.
I'm very curious to hear about this. I have no idea what your farming background is like. Talk about it.
Okay. So basically, back when I was in high school, I needed a summer job. And there was this farm that was like a 45-minute drive away. I lived in Champaign, Illinois at this point. And I think my parents wanted me to like, you know, do a job where I have to like, you know, do physical labor so that I learn what a good day's work is and like why I'm going to college, you know, all that kind of thing. So basically this was like, it was like, I think my official title was research assistant. Basically, they were doing research on like corn plants, and we would like sit on a bucket in the cornfield, and we would take samples from the corn plants, and we would scrunch them up in like a test tube, and then put like a test strip in there, and we would just like do that all day, while I listened to like Coldplay on my iPod.
That kind of, it sounds very tedious, but kind of amazing. Well, how did you feel about it?
I didn't love it. Like I didn't. Who is interrupting our call?
Who the hell is interrupting the pod?
Wow, South Bend, Indiana. We don't need you. Okay. So, yeah, I mean, it wasn't my favorite job. Basically, I ended up doing it for 2 summers. I didn't want to do it the second summer. It was the kind of thing where, like, at the end of the first summer, I, like, told them, like, yeah, I don't think I want to do it again. And then, like, Larry, one of the guys, one of the adults who was with us, he was like, we were really counting on you, you know? We
Not Larry the guilt tripper.
He was like, we invested in you so that you could be a leader next year. And then I came home to my parents and I told them what Larry said, and then my parents were like, well, then you should not let down Larry.
Don't let down Larry.
So I came back the next day and I told Larry, okay, I guess I'll do it. By the way, the other guy's name was Gardner. That was his first name.
Oh my God. Of course, a gardener who farms.
Yeah. So yeah, I ended up doing it a second summer. I got very sunburned. And yeah, there was basically the first summer, like the people I was hanging out with were like older. And they were of course Republicans. And I remember one of them, like he smoked cigarettes and he offered a cigarette to like one of the younger girls, and then they started dating. And it was a little bit scandalous.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That is crazy. That is a crazy setting. It was a crazy experience that you had. It feels so Midwestern too, that you were just smack in the middle of a cornfield.
Yeah.
Taking samples all summer with the fucking Republicans.
Yeah. My other memories are like sometimes we would be inside kind of like categorizing things or something, and then we would be watching Maury and the Jerry Springer show. So
wow. I'm just imagining like the flashback of like young Marcy, you know, in this like bizarre like cornfield Jerry Springer environment. Wow. Well, thanks for sharing that part of your past. I can't believe I never knew.
Yeah, thanks for experiencing
the Marcy
it
lore continues.
Yeah. Well, I want to hear about this Miranda lore because you know, my farm days ended there, but yours have not ended. So how did you first get into farming?
I will tell you. But first I'll say, isn't it funny how science, and this connects to my farming experience too. Well, I'll tell you my farming experience. was living at my parents' house in suburban New Jersey, and it was deep COVID times, and I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. And I saw on Facebook that a girl I had gone to college with was at this farm in Sheldon, Illinois, which is 2 hours south of Chicago, and looked like she was having a great time. She was starting a farm from scratch with her 2 friends, and I was feeling very lost. I was feeling very jealous. I was feeling like I wanted to get away from my boyfriend at the time. And so I hit up my best friend and I said, do you want to go to this farm in the middle of Illinois with me? And she said yes. And then we went and we worked on the farm for 3 months, which really was not a lot of time, but I kind of got the farm bug.
Nice.
I was like, I love getting up and picking tomatoes. And the first day I got there, it was like a huge field that they were like, harvest these potatoes by hand, it was an impossible task. And later on, when I'd been toiling in the field for hours, then they came and they were like, oh yeah, like that actually is impossible. Like you shouldn't do that. Like, but something about like being in the field, and also how you can just like kind of like be kind of violent to the ground. You're just like pulling up weeds, you're pulling up potatoes, but it's really good for you and it's really good for the land. It felt good. And yeah, it was also a research farm. They were testing whether or not applying a soil amendment called, if applying basalt as a soil amendment instead of lime would help increase crop yields. And then also basalt helps with carbon sequestration. I kind of stepped away from the research part because it's so boring. People don't talk about how science is just like putting things into test tubes and measuring things and spreadsheets and doing the same thing over and over again.
Very tedious.
So tedious. And similarly in cornfields, and then also like we'd be taking soil samples and then have to like process the soil samples in the shed of the farm. So my friend got really into it, and then she ended up getting a very fancy like climate startup job after, because she had worked on this research project. But I was like, I can't deal with this.
Yeah.
But yeah, then I left. I did some community gardening back in New Jersey. Then I ultimately moved to Chicago, and I work at City Hall. I got hired to write briefs and memos, but someone who had worked on an urban agriculture grant was leaving right when I was coming in. And my bosses said, Miranda, you worked at a farm before. How about you manage this urban ag grant? And I did it, and kind of have pushed my way into doing other urban ag related projects with the city and other like food equity projects at large. And that is where I am now. So that's why I say I'm an urban ag supporter. I like to volunteer at farms. I like to hang out at farms and do farm tours, but I am by no means a farmer. I admire farmers and am like astounded by them every day and want to help farmers and like our food systems. But I'm not a farmer. So that is my long-winded story of how I came to the urban ag world.
Well, thank you for sharing. First of all, I love that your interest in farming partially stemmed from like, I need to escape heterosexuality. Yeah.
You know, I didn't really actually make that connection until right now, but it's true.
Yeah. I also like how it's like, oh, you have experience farming, so yeah, we need someone to do this, and obviously you're the best person to do it.
Yeah, it was really silly.
Yeah, you like girl bossed your way into.
I mean, I think I really believe that if you say you like something, you will work on that thing. You know, like, because most things, and sorry, this is 7 p.m. Miranda or whatever time it is. Most things are the same thing. A lot of jobs, you're like, you know, writing some stuff up, talking about some things, sending emails. These are for email shops. And so if you say you like a specific topic, then you just get pushed into writing the emails talking about the things about the topic you're interested in.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I feel like this is my experience both in like the creative realm and also the political organizing realm, is that like for instance, like all I had to do was like go to a few open mics and then people would be like, oh yeah, you're a comedian.
Right. You're a comedian. You're in the scene. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Or like, what political issue do you care about? And then all of a sudden you're like volunteering on that committee, you know, and then you're like part of that space.
Yeah.
So it's really, that's how the world works.
Yeah.
How it happens. Kids, okay, listen up.
Yeah. So to kind of connect this to Gleaners and I feel like your interest in farming connects with this movie because you're seeing both like the history of Gleaners, but you're also seeing how it happens in today in air quotes because it came out in 2000, with especially the class issue of people not having enough food and people having to glean for their food.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. I really liked kind of this movie's, it wasn't like beating you over the head, but it was like kind of just like showing you like the conditions that people live in and why they have to glean, and sometimes kind of showing you like, oh yeah, the after the harvest is done, there's all this food that still is there, but they're not going to do anything with it and they're not advertising it. And like Agnes Varda herself is going to start like telling people, hey, if you want food, you can get food here. But like a lot of people just don't know about it.
Yeah. And I think that like we see that today, you know, like there is still so much food waste and so much inequity in food access, and people who are like lacking food in Chicago. But it's just the dot connecting and the resource sharing and then like broken food systems. But yeah, she did it with a lot of grace and like and poignancy at the same time. And also I will say those the teenagers in the city with the white dreads.
Yeah.
They were all beautiful. They were like they were these like, you know, like vagabond, like, you know, like homeless youth, she called them. But they all looked like Ralph Lauren models with glasses, like these little like wire rimmed glasses, and their white dreads and their button downs.
Yeah, it definitely looked like a CW version of.
Yeah, or I'm like, is that just what? Is that what it's like in France? Like their poverty problems and homelessness issues are like ours, except more CW model version.
Well, I'm sure part of it is that because they're teenagers, some of them probably have parents who like, you know, supported them until they didn't support them anymore. So maybe they have like the clothes or some like, you know, hairstyling stuff that allows them to be like that. But I will say, I feel like, so you and Agnes Varda are on one side of this issue and I'm on the other side, where I was like, I guess I don't find them that attractive, but that might just be because I'm a lesbian.
True. I mean, listeners, you'll have to watch and see for yourself. Do you think that these vagabond youth are attractive, or are you a lesbian?
Yeah. But yeah, I guess in some ways, Agnes Varda was ahead of the curve in being like, okay, this is mutual aid. They may not call it mutual aid, but you know, going from place to place and telling people about like all the food they can get. And I liked how you got to see kind of like different groups of people like glean in the post-harvest zone, and like different people had different reasons. Some people were like, yeah, I actually do have enough money, but you know, I might as well get this food because it's free.
Yeah, I liked that too. I think that I think that she was showing gleaning in all of its forms and saying it's not just for poor people, and that, well, A, it's not undignified to glean if you are poor, and B, gleaning is for everyone. And there's this rich like history. I loved how she started the movie and ended it with these like classic paintings from the 1600s of gleaners in the field, and yeah, like kind of connecting it to like a French national tradition, as something that everyone can do and people felt very passionately about. And everyone who gleaned, I feel like across the socioeconomic spectrum, had such clear understanding of the law as well, because they had to, because they like, you know, faced harassment when people like didn't like that they were gleaning. They were like, I'm allowed to be within, you know, like X amount of yards from this apple orchard on this specific day, and like that's what the law tells me. And it was interesting how, yeah, they were like so familiar with these like very specific gleaning laws.
Yeah, the laws were kind of wild. Like they had like talked to like multiple legal experts about like the laws related to gleaning.
Yes, they would put a judge in the middle of a field and have him explain the law. It was awesome.
Yeah. And yeah, it's interesting because like I mean, obviously I don't live in France, or maybe I do, who knows, maybe I've been living in France this entire time.
Ooh la la.
But it's like I didn't know like there were these specific laws about gleaning. I did like that the scene where like people were arguing about like how many pounds, I think it was like fish or something like that.
Or like oysters.
Yeah. And like everyone had a different number for how many pounds they're allowed to take.
Yeah, that was true. And they're like, well, that's what it was last year. And it was interesting. And, you know, it resonated with me as a city employee, thinking about like nitty gritty policy decisions and how they get made and who they're affected by and why people care about them, and how to like, you know, create widespread familiarity about very specific land use, and like farming related policy. And so it was interesting to see, and fun and funny. And one other thing I'll say on my soapbox, am I allowed to do this?
Yeah, go ahead.
Is that a bunch of many states in the US have gleaning laws, and Illinois really doesn't. I think Wisconsin has some of the best, and it's all about liability for the private landowner. And so maybe there should be a movement to create better gleaning laws in Illinois.
Ooh.
You heard it here first.
That's exciting. Yeah, and then people could be all like, it all started when I listened to an episode of Dove Weather.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I was like, we need to get better gleaning laws in Illinois.
No one's talking enough about it.
Yeah, I think anything that makes it easier to like take things from people with a lot of private property, like that has to be good.
I agree, 100%.
Yeah. It's like this is like the loophole we get to like get rid of like property altogether and eventually get communism. It's like first we take the food,
and then it's like, while we're at it, we'll take the land.
Yeah.
Bring the commons back.
Yeah, absolutely.
The first step to the commons is gleaning.
Yeah, so I'm kind of curious. Well, so there's like a few, I guess, differences between this movie and today. Obviously, it's in France. It's situated in 1999, 2000. I liked the people talking about Y2K.
Yeah.
But like, how did this compare to like your own farming experiences?
Well, this wasn't really about farming.
Mm-hmm.
This movie, it was about gleaning, but I think it made me think a lot about food waste, and food systems. And when I was farming, we would throw out a lot of food.
Uh-huh.
You know, like we had a compost that was like a gigantic pile, and actually one of the farm cats ate some compost that didn't sit well in his stomach, and he passed away.
Oh, no.
R.I.P. Goop.
R.I.P. Goop.
Shout out Goop. And then, yeah, we just like, we would, you know, try to can as much as we could of like green beans and tomatoes, but there was too many produce for us to to reasonably eat as a group of 6 of us, we would take food to the food pantry, and that would address some of it. And also some people were like, I don't want your kohlrabi. Like they're like, I just want tomatoes and peppers. I think it's important to like be respectful of like what food people want, and to to understand that like even if people are food insecure, they still like have choice and are allowed choice. So a lot of food rotted, and we threw away a lot of it, and it was so beautiful that there was so much abundance, and also so wild that like even on this tiny little farm we were wasting so much food. I hear friends and like colleagues who've worked at farmers markets, and they talk about how much gets thrown out at the end of the day, and they're like talking about like massive volumes, like pounds and pounds of vegetables, and there's just like, you need a truck to take it and a fridge to take it. Like you need infrastructure to deal with food waste. But I think that like gleaning is a small solution, and if people gleaned on a larger scale, there would be a lot less food waste as well, and a lot less like people who are hungry maybe.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, we should all become gleaners. We should all just like, first we need to start like a gleaners holiday in America where we don't have to do our normal jobs, and then all we do is glean.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Well, it kind of felt like that's what it was like with the oyster gleaning. They're like, this is the, like when the tide is low, we come once a year and we go on our vacation and we get the oysters, and I love oysters, so that felt like a dream to me. Have you ever gleaned? Have you ever dumpster dived?
I don't think I've ever dumpster dive. I guess maybe we did a little bit of gleaning when I was on the farm job. I feel like we had to glean some corn. But yeah, I feel like, okay, this is going to be, maybe I shouldn't admit this, but, I heard someone say recently, like, oh, I can't wait to be well enough that I don't have to like pick up a penny when I see on the ground. And I'm at the stage where I don't pick up the penny. Like first of all, pennies are kind of useless.
Yeah, they're just like a novelty.
And also, I'm always just like, well, someone else can use this better than me. It's the same thing with like a Pokemon card or like other things I see on the ground. So yeah, I feel like I don't.
A Pokemon card?
I've seen some Pokemon cards in Logan Square.
Okay. Yeah.
Some kids.
No, I know absolutely. I think I know someone who collects Pokemon cards, so maybe they, you're leaving it for them.
Exactly. I feel like I gleaned more when I was younger, because when you're younger, you're like, oh wow, this is a shiny thing, I should pick it up.
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel like those were my real gleaning days.
Totally. Yeah.
But I have a thinking about how people are often like, oh, we're all going to have to learn how to farm because, the world is going to end. And sometimes I view those words with a raised eyebrow, but other times I'm like, damn, am I going to be like useless? Like once like all the computers are gone, like, do I need to like learn some like skills?
Yeah.
Or can I just like, like cling on to my creativity and be like, hey, I know that, we don't have any water or food, but I can do a one person play for all of you.
I mean, we need everyone in the revolution, and everyone serves their role, I have similar fears. Yeah.
Well, at least you have more farming experience than me.
A little bit. I can't really grow at scale. I'm not the best seed saver, but I know a couple of things. I'll teach you.
Okay, amazing. Yeah. And I think the thing about it is that, I'm kind of anti-individualism in general, where I feel like it's going to be a collective project. So now, like, no one of us has to know everything. And so as long as we have like a few people who like really know what they're doing, and then they can teach everyone, we'll be good.
Yeah. If they're nice and they help us, I believe in collectivism too. But I think that, what if that person's sleeping in late, or you get separated from them?
Yeah.
I better learn how to pitch a tent or something.
See, I do have some experience pitching tents because of Boy Scouts. So,
okay. Cool.
So yeah, hopefully that can come in common.
Yeah. No, and that's the thing. We all have the skills that we can,
Because technically I am an Eagle Scout, so...
Oh my God, more Marcy lore.
So yeah, I mean, I feel like the thing about Boy Scouts is like you learn things in order to like get merit badges, in order to like raise the ranks, but then you don't remember them. It's kind of like how I learned Spanish when I was younger, and now I'm doing Duolingo because like I don't remember everything I learned.
Right.
So
Right. Exactly. I mean, that's all skills.
yeah,
But
there needs to be a Duolingo for like Boy Scout skills.
Boy Scout Duolingo. Whoa.
Yeah.
I think you're really onto something.
Yeah.
I think that would be really fun and crazy. The gamification of Boy Scouts.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I think it's time to start talking about Agnes Varda more, you know.
Yeah.
So I think what I love about this movie is that it's not just about gleaning, it's the Gleaners and I.
Yeah.
And she's like, I love to film my hand with my other hand. And like she talks about how she's getting older, and she loves to like film how like the wrinkles on her hand and how she's like turning into a monster. I really liked all of that.
Yeah, me too. Well, as you know from writing group, one of the topics I like to address the most and that scares me is the passing of time and getting older. And I feel like this was one of the few movies I've seen that made me not scared about getting older, because she was so full of life and so like interested in her own aging process, and was like left such a mark through her films. And just like approached aging with like this curiosity that and silliness too. That was nice, but also like, whoa, this is really happening. And it was kind of a meditation on that. And so I also really liked that.
Yeah. I feel like, you know, especially I'm a little bit older than you. So I feel like when I started getting into my 30s, at first people were like, oh yeah, your 30s are so much better than your 20s. And at first I agreed, then I disagreed, then I agreed again. I think it's like all ages have ups and downs. But I think I've kind of grown to appreciate aging a little bit more now that I'm like, not like, oh, you know, yeah, I'm part of the generation that's going to save the world. And now I also know that Gen Z is not going to save the world either.
No, they're ruining it.
Yeah. So yeah, I think especially, you know, Hollywood is always like, oh yeah, that woman who like you all loved 5 years ago, we're throwing her in the trash, replacing her with someone else.
Yeah.
But Agnes Varda was, you know, she was in charge of her own destiny. She's like, I'm going to show you all what I fucking look like.
100%.
And you're just going to have to deal with it.
Yeah. And, you know, I think the themes of like aging, and there's a point in the documentary, where she's like, I love to film like rot, you know, and like, I think, you know, the Gleaners and I is about focusing on things thrown away and things left behind, and finding a glimmer of life, you know, like relifing them. And she kind of, she was so the parallel themes of like her aging, she herself aging, and looking at all these like aging and decaying things, and then seeing them so childlike and beautiful and fun and quirky and silly was awesome. The clock with no hands, that was cool. Iconic.
Yeah, I like how she's like, I don't need to watch time passing. Like, I'm imagining like that's her only clock in her home.
Totally.
And, like, people try to set appointments with her, and she's just like, I'm just gonna arrive when I need to arrive.
Yeah, she's like, sorry, my clock doesn't have any hands.
Yeah,
I loved that.
and I also liked how she likes to glean with like people who did her like soundtracks in previous movies, and like she's like, yep, he picked up this clock. He didn't want it, but I did, so I took it home.
Yes, I thought that was so great too.
Yeah, I feel like, you know, this kind of brought a new thought to me of like, I think I'd be more into gleaning because I feel like, you know, some of the people in this movie, the gleaning verges on hoarding. You know, they just like
true.
They just like get all these things and then there, there's that moment where Agnes Varda like asks this guy like, is this your cavern or something?
Yeah, she's like, your cave. Yeah.
Yeah.
But so you're not a hoarder.
No, well, I think part of it is I remember, I remember my sister being like, "You don't want to become a hoarder. You have to get rid of some of this stuff." So part of it might be like society's like impact on me.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a hard time buying things sometimes, which is maybe also why I liked the Gleaners and I. And I'm kind of a bit of a gleaner, collector, scavenger myself. That feels like it's part of my nature, but I have a hard time making decisions about like purchases or like things that I want, or I'm like, is this my style? Like, I don't know. Like, and so but seeing these people who definitely were verging on hoarding, but were so proud of their like trinkets and their like multiple fridges and their, chair legs, all kind of arranged in this very like deliberate way. It was kind of heartwarming to me. I was like, wow, like people are so weird, and we just like to have our little things and to like arrange them in our spaces for no good reason, but just because we like it. And that is such a cool and interesting thing about being a human. And also, like, when you die, these things are left behind that were yours that then, can find new life in other people, or go to the trash and find new life in that way if someone collects it. And it kind of made me pro hoarding. So we had different takeaways.
We're pro gleaning and pro hoarding.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe I feel like I just need to work up to being a hoarder. Like I went to a market with my girlfriend this weekend, and like I didn't buy too much because I was like, well, I have things that I want to put on my walls that I haven't put on my walls yet, so it's hard to know what else I should buy until I've done that. But I still bought like a cute skirt, so I'm looking forward to wearing that. But yeah, I don't know. I guess like when we're all communists, it'll be easier to like hoard because like it'll be all of our property.
Yeah, sure. Okay, maybe. I think, well, I've become more of an anarchist over the last couple of years, but that's for another podcast. The anarchist city employee.
Yeah, we'll have the anarchists versus socialists debate.
Right. It'll be the pod for the ages.
Yeah. So another thing I really liked about Agnes Varda is that like she doesn't like waste time. Like she films when she's like when they're driving from place to place, and then she gets obsessed with all the trucks, and then she's like, I'm gonna capture all the trucks by like just taking my hand and going boop.
Yeah, I loved that too. That's why she reminded me of you. I feel like you would do that. Like,
yeah, I would do something like that.
Yeah. And the trucks kept coming back too. And she'd be like, more trucks.
Yeah.
Here they are again.
Yeah. And then she's like, we had trouble. We passed this one, but then we had trouble passing the other one. And then it just shows her zooming past.
Yeah, I love that too. I'm like, that's all part of the story. Another awesome Agnes moment was when she was filming some gleaners who were singing a song while they were gleaning, and then she accidentally like forgot to turn the camera off when she wanted to, and she's like, the dance of the lens cap.
Yeah, that was perfect.
And she set it to music. Yeah, it was perfect.
Yeah, speaking of which, the music in this movie is really good.
So good. Oh my gosh. It starts with this awesome French rap about like garbage and gleaning and urban decay, and I want to listen to it now. Yeah,
there's like a lot of songs in the movie about like the political nature of like cleaning and trash, and like I'm sure Bernie Sanders would like the music in this, because a lot of it's about like the 1% having
totally too
everything
much,
and everyone else not having anything.
Yeah.
So
I mean, also the people listening need to know that it's a French movie. It's all in French.
Yeah.
And something about me is that I notoriously hate the French.
Oh, okay.
But I loved this movie, and I loved
that's
Agnes Varda.
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can I ask why you hate the French?
Well, I went to university in Montreal, and let's just say that the Quebecois don't really take well to Anglophones coming into their city at times.
Yeah.
And I really didn't know about separatist politics before I came there, which I learned about, and I respect them. But the Quebec government has become increasingly conservative over the last couple of years and are very about preserving the French culture and won't give like hospital services to people in English, even if they know English but don't know French. And, you know, like most immigrants coming into the country know English but don't know French. And yeah, it's just some dubious language laws. They were not always so kind to me, and the French can be notoriously annoying and pretentious. But some of them are great. And it's a beautiful language ultimately.
Yeah.
And I remembered that in watching this film.
Yeah, we're pro-hoarders, anti-French on this
Pro-hoarders,
podcast.
anti-French, except Agnes Varda.
Yeah, except for Agnes Varda and some of the whimsical people in this movie.
Yeah, love a whimsical French guy and girl at the end of the day.
Yeah, I'm also reminded there was like that moment where she was interviewing one of the guys who collects a lot of junk, and then she's like it's art, and then his wife, who they've been together for like 50 years, is like, well, I don't know about that.
Yeah, there were a lot of great moments. Which also, I'm like, and farming is art. Was something I remembered from this movie.
Yeah, so basically, you know, you are an artist in multiple ways because you farm and you write. So
I guess so. You really helped me embrace my artist identity.
Yeah.
Know? I've been saying I'm a jock, but really I'm an artist.
I think jocks can be artists. I think, yeah, it's like we're it's not a binary, you know.
So
we're challenging the binary.
We're challenging the artist jock binary here. Yeah, that's beautiful.
Well, I'm glad you brought this connection between art and farming, because I wanted to talk more about our artistic endeavors, because we've actually created a zine in a farm.
So true. Perfect transition.
Yeah.
We did about maybe like 5 months ago now, I want to say. I took you and some of our other dear writing group friends to the farm that I worked at in central Illinois. Shout out Zumwalt Acres. And we had a lovely writing retreat weekend where we wrote an almanac, which was just basically a farm zine. And we all wrote farm-inspired poems and prose and jokes and interviews, and it was incredible.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, and we got to like walk around the farm, meet all the farm animals, and I really enjoyed that. And I think one of our writing activities, we wrote from the perspective of all the different like parts of the farm and like how they all interact with each other, and that was a lot of fun.
That was awesome.
Yeah, all being in the Google Doc at the same time.
Yeah, we were writing about like compost and like the bug and the beetle and the the worms and the dirt and the
I think the magma was a big part of it.
Magma was a big part.
Yeah.
The mycelium. Yeah.
And I think someone took me to task for not knowing the difference between magma and lava. That was fun.
Oh, come on. Yeah, you gotta know the difference between magma and lava.
Yeah. But also in that zine, I interviewed you, so it's not the first time that we've kind of been in this type of situation.
In this dynamic. Yeah. Absolutely. We're just always talking about farms in an interview setting.
Yeah. Yeah. So I feel like Agnes Varda, like I think in some ways I do aspire to be a little bit more like her. I've heard that her like other movies after this get even more personal. Wow. So I'm excited to like watch more of those.
Me too. And I heard that when she passed away, people put heart-shaped potatoes on her grave.
Yeah. Yeah. So I definitely found the heart-shaped potatoes erotic. And of course, we've discussed the essay about the erotic. So we know
the uses of.
yeah, we know that it doesn't just mean it made me horny. It
No,
means more than that.
it means more than that.
Yeah.
Come on now, get your mind out of the gutter, people.
Yeah. So yeah, to what you were speaking about before, she showed how the heart potatoes rotted over time.
Yeah, and nobody wanted them.
Yeah. Oh.
And she just picked them up. And she was like, they're so cute and beautiful and lumpy.
Yeah, but I feel like Agnes Varda has shown us the way. And I'm excited. Like when I make art in the future, I'm gonna like think about her, and I'm gonna be like, you know what? If she can just like put like 5 minutes of closing her hand over trucks in the middle of a documentary about gleaning, then
absolutely,
I can do whatever the fuck I want.
100%. I agree. I'm gonna take that lesson with me too. Oh, I like that it starts with the cat.
Yes, me too.
Let's talk about the cats.
I was very happy that it started with a cat.
Yeah.
I feel like it put us off on good footing.
And that's also why it reminded me of you, your relationship with Nomi.
Yeah.
And it felt very feminine too. Like, just like, hi, we're starting with the cat. And also the clock with no hands, they're underneath it, cat figurines.
Yeah.
And there are cats.
Yeah, it does make me think like if I ever make a movie, hopefully I'll make it, while Nomi is still with us.
Yes.
And I can start by filming her. And it is kind of funny how you notice these things that you like about movies, and you're like, why don't I just put them in my own movies?
Right.
And then,
and that's how it happens. You have to get
it's not
inspired.
like someone is going to be like, oh my God, I can't believe she ripped off Agnes Varda in the first shot.
Classic Varda to start with the cat shot. Ugh, how could she do that?
Yeah, obviously Varda copyrighted that, so no one else can do it now.
And another thing. There's a part in the movie where she films these little kids singing a song about potatoes.
Yeah, that was great.
It's like like Monday potatoes. But in French, how do you say Monday in French? Allu, allu. How do you say Monday in French?
I only know Spanish.
Pomme de terre, that's the potato. And I knew that song. I had learned it in summer camp in Yiddish.
Wild.
It would go Muntig bulbus, Tustig bulbus.
Whoa.
And then in the song they said Friday a special day, pomme de terre au gratin.
Wow.
But in Yiddish it was Sunday a special day, bulbus kugela. And so that was a funny little connection and thing right off the bat, is that there's multiple versions of this song in multiple languages about eating potatoes all day.
I love that. Yeah. I feel like I didn't really learn any songs like that when I was a kid, besides like, your Mary Had a Little Lamb. I feel like the potato song is much more like it has an actual use of kind of explaining a part of their life, and it's funny. So I'm a little bit jealous.
What else? Art. I think we've talked a lot about art, but she filmed an art installation of fridges that people had reclaimed and then added cute little trinkets into. And it made me kind of want to do that.
Ooh.
And what are your thoughts on art?
Yeah, I love art. Yeah, I feel like you kind of see similar things to what some of the people did in museums. Like you often see like taking junk and trying to create a different purpose for them. So I kind of like that. I feel like I'm someone who, when I go to museums, I'm there's always a part of my brain that's like, oh, I'm not appreciating this on the right level. So, other people are like better museum enjoyers than me, but I feel like I just need to like stop listening to that part of my brain and just be like, you know what, I'm enjoying this and I'm taking insight from this in the way that I do. So
definitely, that's good.
Yeah,
that's good insight.
And the TV segment, of course I was into that as like a big TV fan.
The smashing of the TVs?
Well, I mean the entire part, where they're like sometimes they try to repair the TVs to make them better,
and sometimes they smash them.
Yeah, get all the copper from them. Yeah, I mean, I, it's almost like they're deconstructing television itself. So
Whoa,
yeah,
crazy meta.
yeah, and it's like she has her camera and she's filming, and then we're watching it on a TV. So yeah, if
Weird.
you get high and watch this movie, you can have a really good time. I bet.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe I was a little high watching this movie. And it also reminded me of a conversation that I had at work a couple of days ago
Ooh.
where someone was asking about park district rules around foraging.
Uh-huh.
And apparently this person was like leading or had been leading and was planning on leading more foraging tours in the parks. And then the parks department sent him a like, do not do this letter.
Wow.
Because you're technically not allowed to pick edible plants in the parks. And it's unclear why that is. Is it a liability thing, like many things are? Is it that they don't want people climbing trees, maybe? And is it that they don't want everyone picking like a mulberry tree and then there's no mulberries left? So that's kind of that's on my back burner of to-do items, is to look into the reasoning behind the park district's rules around non-foraging and, have a conversation.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah. I like that based on where you work, you're like, once you hear about a problem, you can actually do something to fix it. That's exciting.
Yeah, but the thing is, I can ask some people some questions. I can set up some meetings. I can send some emails. I can circle back. But,
Doesn't mean it'll actually happen.
it doesn't mean it'll actually happen.
Yeah.
I'm a pretty...
Lots of red tape.
There's a lot of red tape. I'm a pretty low-level bureaucrat at the end of the day, but at least I can get a hold of someone a little bit faster than the average person because of my city email address. Yeah, and I want to be able to use the little power I have, for good, and B, I want to use it more, and C, I want to use it for urban agriculture and food system support, and next step is gleaning.
Amazing. Yeah. I love that Agnes has like given us a path forward.
She really did. I went to bed feeling so at peace and so like excited about being a person on this planet and just like part of a long lineage of humans who like, are connected to the land and who like to collect things and who, enjoy the fruits of the earth and who are kind of weird.
Yeah.
It kind of puts some things in a nice perspective for me in that way.
I love that.
Yeah.
I think this is a good transition to Hopecast.
Okay.
You're talking about, the things that are making you feel happy. And that's what we do in Hopecast.
Oh, I love that.
So in this segment, we share something that is giving us hope in this dark world that we live in. And I want to hear from you first.
Okay. Yeah. Well, of course, heart-shaped potatoes are giving me hope. And this is so corny, but like coincidences, like coincidentally, I was having this conversation with the park district about the foraging, and then the Gleaners has really like given me the energy to continue those conversations on. Or like when you like run into a friend somewhere unexpected, just kind of these like weird little quirks. The little quirks of living are kind of giving me hope these days. And seeing the abundance of all of these farms that I work with and I'm getting a CSA from gives me hope that like there is a lot of like mechanisms for food sovereignty in Chicago and a lot of mutual aid happening. So that's what's giving me hope. What's giving you hope?
Amazing. Yeah. Thank you for sharing. Love all the coincidences.
Yes.
So this is actually my last podcast before I go on a break. And I've been kind of dancing around the reason on the mic, but I think it's time for me to reveal.
I think you should.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the reason why I'm going to take a break is that I'm having my bottom surgery next week, and
Woo woo.
yeah, I'm excited. It's I don't know if I would say I'll say it's been a long time coming. I wanted this for a while, and I've been trying to like work towards it for a while, but it actually it's actually hard because you have to do electrolysis. You got to jump through a lot of hoops in the medical
you've been
system.
fucking at it. You've been doing
Yeah.
it for a while.
Yeah, so I'm glad that I'm gonna finally do it, and it involves a lot of recovery time afterwards. So that's why I won't be on the pod for a bit. But I have hope because I am finally doing something that I wanted to do, and I'm excited for the future post recovery, and 2026 I think is going to be a really fun year for me.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm excited for that.
I'm excited for you.
Thank you.
And I'm excited to participate in your meal train.
Yay.
Yay.
Yeah, I will put the link to the meal train in the description for this episode if you want to help. Yeah, if you don't live in Chicago, it might be a little bit hard.
Hey, you can send a DoorDash.
Yeah, true. But yeah, thank you, Miranda. You've been an amazing guest.
You've been an incredible host.
Thank
you for
you.
having me on the pod. It feels like a real pleasure. And
Yeah.
I love to talk all things Gleaners and more with you.
Yeah, same. I'm so glad that we got to chat on the pod, and I'm excited to continue collaborating with you creatively. And yeah, we're gonna glean.
We're gonna glean so much creative insight together. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Marcy.
Yeah, and remember, if you want to follow Miranda on Instagram, you can follow her at Miranda_rascal.
That's true.
And if you want to follow us, the podcast, you can do so on Instagram at doveweather. And you can listen to us on any podcasting platform. And you can find us on YouTube.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
This was recorded? There's a camera here?
No, there's no video, but
But if that's in your practice,
yeah, there's like there's some graphics. There's some graphics. I mean, we get a lot of our views from YouTube, honestly.
Oh.
People just like, I want to listen to this Richard Pryor podcast. So yeah, and we'll continue to put out episodes. We got some great guests lined up. So just because I'm not going to be on the pod doesn't mean you're allowed to stop listening. No, that's not allowed.
Nope.
So yeah, we will see you later.
See you later.
Bye.
See you in hell.